Green. Oh, and we're live in the BGP Lounge. And who do we have? None other than number 12, QB1 for 3 years, the one and only, one of the best to ever do it at App State, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play football at App State, Zac Thomas. What's going on?
What's up, man? I appreciate y'all having me.
Oh, this is a dream come true ever since we made you a star at Media Day 2018, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that.
Well, yeah. I mean, this was what I'll always remember with that, Zac, is you didn't know your class schedule. It was like August 4th.
It's hard, man.
But it was very early as August. I mean, come on, we're not thinking about classes that start 2.5 weeks later.
Yeah, I have to learn the playbook at that point. I wasn't worried about classes.
Yeah, you didn't know the playbook?
Well, I knew it, but I had to get better at it.
How was that fall camp for you, by the way? I mean, going in, replacing Taylor Lamb, and who's this kid going to be? How did that go for you, would you say, the camp?
Yeah, I mean, it was I had some big shoes to fill. Taylor set the bar high for me. I was kind of nervous and anxious, but at the same time, I was ready to get after it. I knew what kind of player I was. I knew I'd prepare all my life for this scenario. I just had to get the chance and the opportunity to go out there and shine. So a lot of it was put into it, trying to get some timing down with receivers. When you're you're a fresh quarterback, you got a lot of stuff you got to do. So I had a lot of things to do at that point, but I just embraced the journey and was excited to get started with the team.
Do you think you had a good camp, though? Like, how did you feel going into Penn State? Were you like, man, I'm crushing it right now. There's no way I'm gonna be unstoppable, or were you like, I still don't know what the outside zone is? Like, what is it? Like, how did you feel coming in being the starter?
Yeah, so I felt pretty good going through camp. I had a pretty good camp. I made some strides and things that I needed to do, but if you ask anybody on that coaching staff, that week leading up to Penn State probably was my worst week of practice I ever had in my career. I think I probably threw about 10 interceptions in practice leading up to that game. Didn't know a lot, had a lot of nerves. That walkthrough and the run-through that we had on Friday was rough. And, Coach Ponce kind of set me down. He was like, you just need to settle in and let the game come to you. And so at that point, I kind of just sat down, relaxed, and just let everything come to me and instead of trying to figure everything out myself.
And it worked out, didn't it?
So Zac, what you're saying is you were not expecting to have a picture of yourself in Sports Illustrated that following week, did you?
No, I did not expect that.
Was that ever in your wildest dreams?
You always dream of playing those big games and having that big upset. I wish we could have won that game, but it was just an amazing experience, and wish we could have it back because we should have won that game. And it's just, of course, I think it'll be a talk of time for me, and it'll probably go down as one of my favorite moments ever.
What one would you have back? Playing a lot of football games, which one would you want to have back and say, I want to play that one again, and I want to try to change the outcome?
I want to play Coastal Carolina this year and change that outcome.
Yeah. See, Noah said that too, and it was really I can't remember. I was barely paying attention to what he was saying, but I think he said Coastal pretty quickly. Charles, am I remembering that correctly? He said Coastal as well.
I think he thought about it for a minute, but he definitely wanted that game for sure. I mean, it's funny, going into this year, you probably wouldn't expect to hear that from anyone, really. But whatever happened, and that's one that everyone wants back now, and for a good reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think this kind of kicked off a brand new kind of serious rivalry with Coastal? I
think you can say that, but if you look at the Sun Belt, we've ruled the Sun Belt for 4 years, and a team beats us one time, and they're saying they run the Sun Belt. I think they got a lot more to prove than. Obviously, we're the Alabama of the Sun Belt, some could say, and we're on top a lot of the times. And to be the best, you got to continue to compete and beat the best. So, I think they still got a couple more years, and they're a good team. I'm not taking them for granted, but it was definitely not a good game for us. And I think it could become a rivalry. And the Sun Belt became a really good conference this year and some really good teams. So just excited to see what the Sun Belt holds, because there's a lot of good players that's coming out of the Sun Belt, and they will be for next years.
It has to have been interesting watching, because even us as fans, when we get, move up to FBS, Sun Belt's not, it is what it is. But now it does seem like you and Noah, I think you guys are in actually an interesting, have interesting career time spans where you guys kind of did see the conference kind of improve and try to catch up, So it's like, it feels like this year was maybe the most talented that the league has been from top to bottom. Would you agree with that? Or how would you assess the progress of the Sun Belt's talent?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that. The Sun Belt's definitely gotten better. There's better athletes, and now you're getting a lot of transfers that's coming from the FBS. Your Power Fives, they're coming down to the Sun Belt wanting to compete in the Sun Belt. I mean, obviously, App got one and Chase Bryce, and then now you have some of these coaches coming back, like Arkansas State, their new head coach. You got a lot of these guys coming back that's going to start building up these programs back to where some of these programs kind of hit rock bottom, and now they're kind of building them back up to where they need to be. And so I think the Sun Belt in the next couple of years is going to be a really good competition. I mean, if you keep looking at it, I think the Sun Belt could eventually turn out to where like the American is. And when you look at the American Conference and you see those kind of teams where you have Cincinnati and Memphis, I think the Sun Belt, if it continues to do what it's doing, you're going to have a couple of teams that's always going to be in contentions for the New Year's Six and all those kind of rankings and whatnot.
So close we got last year to that. Just 2 minutes of football more. Just 2 minutes. Yeah. We would have had it. The ghosts would have come out. And we would have taken it. Hey, so instead of talking about a bunch of depressing things like losing games and stuff, what are you doing right now? You're sitting in the snow in New Jersey right now. Tell us about your training progress and what you're going through.
Yeah, so I'm up in New Jersey for about 8 weeks. I got up here a little bit after January, and I'm up here until about March. And then this past weekend, like you said, you hit on, we probably got about 14 inches, and it's still snowing right now. So it's very interesting. At this point, I kind of hate snow and ready for the snow to dry up so I can actually go out and enjoy my day, because now it's spent shoveling snow from behind my truck to get it to go to where I need it to go. So it's good. Training 6 days a week, and you're there from about 10 in the morning to about 4 at night every night, and it's just a grind. And it's just a lot of mental focus has to go into this, and you just got to prepare. Like, obviously, you only get one shot at this, so you got to give everything you got.
Who are you working with? Who are some of the other? Who's the group? Can you tell us that, or is that allowed, or I don't even know?
Yeah, so I'm working with a lot of people. There's a player from Pitt, DJ Turner, really good player, and you got Shaq Pitt from Clemson. He's a really good player. I mean, there's a lot of people up here from this training facility is more up north people, so you got a lot of Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa. You got a lot of people from up north, not a lot of people from down south. The teams that we would play and whatnot, but some good competition and some good quarterbacks and good receivers to throw to. So not much more you can ask for.
So how do you choose? How does a prospective NFL player, draft pick, free agent, whatever, choose like which? I don't know what you call these, like camps or miniature workouts or whatever, for this period of time to kind of like, learn with better players and get better and different coaching. How does that come about? Is it agent based, or how does that work?
Yeah, you hit on it. It's kind of agent based. So usually when you talk to agents and whatnot, they kind of have formed relationships with like these workout people that they trust in, and they that they want you to go to and whatnot. And you talk to a lot of agents, and they tell you that you can go train here and whatnot. So basically, the agency that I signed with, they're out of New Jersey. So every client that they have trains at Test facility, which is where I'm at right now. And so basically, it's just kind of what your agency feels. And you kind of have a little leeway. If you want to go somewhere else, you can kind of try to convince them that you want to go this place. But at the end of the day, it's what they're comfortable with, and it's what they're willing to pay for. So you kind of just go with what they want.
And you're kind of paying them too. So it kind of it works itself out, I guess.
It was really interesting talking to the guys, when they get out. Obviously Noah is doing his thing, not training for the next level, but we like hearing how other players from other programs react to the App State guy showing up, in a camp, in a workout session, and in one of these deals. What's it been like interacting with players from Power 5 programs? And here comes this, G5 Southern brand coming up into New Jersey. Any comments, any perspectives from other people about App State and Zac Thomas coming to work out?
Yeah, so, well, obviously, this. Everyone remembers App State from the Michigan win. So
Yeah,
I've gotten
yeah.
a lot of that. That's no matter where you go, if you wear an App State shirt, they're always going to bring up the Michigan game.
Sure.
And then a lot of people up here from up north, so they support your Ohio State, your Penn States, and whatnot. So when I first got here, they remember the Penn State game and me starting that game and whatnot. So, everyone kind of knows App State because, we kind of have ruled that Group of 5 level. Obviously not been the best of the best as in your Memphis and Cincinnati, but we've always been in the contention. So everyone kind of remembers App, and they know that they're known for winning. So you kind of have a salt of respect whenever you walk in.
What's your routine? I know you said from 10 to 4, but for the next 8 weeks or however long you're up there now, what's it like? You get up. What's the schedule?
Yeah, so we're Monday through Saturday. So Monday we wake up. We usually get to the facility I usually wake up about 8, have breakfast, cup of coffee, kind of just settle into the day, and then we get there about 10. So we'll lift at 10, and then in about 11 we'll do speed and agility and whatnot, conditioning, and then you'll go to lunch, or we'll eat lunch, and then we'll go to the field. We'll do more speed work, whether that's sled pushing, sled pulling, and whatnot. And then you'll have individual work with the quarterback coach that we're working with, and then we'll throw routes. And then Tuesday is lower body day, so you'll work out. You'll do more speed stuff, directional stuff, and then eat lunch, and then you'll come back and do individual work. Tuesdays and Fridays is more of an individual work. You're focusing more on the quarterback side instead of throwing routes, so you're doing more drop back, pocket movement, whatnot in that facility. And then Wednesday is a yoga Pilates day, so we kind of get our body back to normal, get a couple massages, and then so Wednesday we have another individual work, and so you're kind of just working more on pocket movement, putting your feet in the ground, making a throw where it needs to be, and then we go to the board and we talk about some defenses in the NFL. We go over some checks at the NFL, and he kind of just introduces the NFL playbook, and then at a smaller version, but it's just so you get the basic knowledge. So when it happens, you kind of know the basics of NFL, because at the same time, all NFL playbooks kind of relate to each other. It's just different terminology. So you're just trying to learn the basics of an NFL playbook. And then Thursday and Friday is the same as Monday and Tuesday. And then Saturday is a big conditioning day for us. So we'll get there about 6 a.m. And do conditioning in the morning, and then kind of do some recovery. And then you're off the rest of the day Saturday, and then you have Sunday to recover.
And shovel snow, right?
And shovel snow. Absolutely.
Charles, when is your massage day? Is that Wednesday too? Mine is Tuesday.
I haven't had one in a while. Probably looking at that. Maybe that's
they're great. You should look into it.
It's Monday yoga for me. I get on my spandex.
Do you like yoga, Zach? I'm just curious. Is that something that you'd done before? Or?
So we try to do it at App, but I'm gonna be honest, yoga is very hard, and it kills my shoulders when I try to do these positions that I'm not supposed to be doing. My favorite is at the end, you lay down and you close your eyes and you let your body sink into the world, and you kind of forget about everything, and then you wake back up. So that's my favorite part of yoga.
Your favorite part
is kind of nice. Yeah, and
Pilates is kind of
nice. Yeah. You get hooked up to these straps, and you kind of a lot of stress relieves your body in Pilates. So I don't mind Pilates, but yoga is like another workout for us. It's not just like a recovery day. It's like, let's put a sweat on while we do some yoga.
It's not just for girls anymore, right?
No. Hey, listen, that's I'm telling you, Monday yoga at my house in my spandex, man, it's tough. But
I want people to stay tuned in, AJ.
It's tough, man. Yoga's tough. I'm telling you, of course I'm being sarcastic. I don't mess with it. I don't want to hurt myself. But that's really interesting that they have you doing things like that to get you up to peak performance. What do you think your strengths are going into this right now?
I think it's just like, are you talking about like field play, like as a quarterback?
You as an athlete, just like what do you think your strengths are coming into?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been the kind of guy. I mean, I've always been kind of athletic. I'm not gonna brag on myself, but I've always been athletic.
You're really
and quick
athletic. You can say that. You're really, really athletic. Everybody knows it. You're super athletic.
And I've always like picked up on things fast, as in whether that's like, so they're teaching us the right way to do 5-10-5s, the L drills and whatnot for combine days, and they're kind of teaching us the right steps we need to take. And I've always been the kind of guy that picks up on that stuff quick. So that's just something that I've always done throughout my life. And then while I've been here, just picking up on stuff fast and then put my body to the test and trying every day to get better.
Is this regiment that you're going through and this camp, I'll just call it a camp. What is it called, by the way? We're kind of, what'd you call it? A training camp?
It's just kind of like a pre-draft process. So you kind of just, you're getting your body and your mind basically. So we have a lot of like seminars for like the mind, as in like the mind games that your body plays on you. And then nutrition is like a really big part of this. So they kind of teach you what you need to be eating, the supplements you need to be putting in your body and whatnot. Not the beer you're drinking, but
because this is beer.
It's a protein shake. I mean, come on, look at the guy.
My yolk protein shake. I'm recovering from Monday.
Yeah, so it's just a lot about nutrition, and then just basically when you put your body to the test, you got to refuel body. So it's just teaching you a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Is it like you expected? Is it, or what was your mindset going into it? Like, is it gonna be super hard? It's gonna be struggle, or I think I could do well. What was it?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I could do it. So when you come to these kind of things, like the coaches are here, but they're not really here to coach you. They're kind of here to like sit back, tell you what you need to be doing, and you kind of push yourself at your own pace. So if you want to go hard, you go hard. If you want to take the day off, then you take the day off. So it's just it's basically someone's paying you for you to do this, but at the end of the day, it's whatever you want out of it. So
right.
If you want to get drafted, you want to go play on a team, the energy and effort that you put into it is going to pay off eventually. So it's basically just what you want to put into it.
One of the things that, when Charles and I talked to, it was Parker and Kendall, two separate conversations that we had, but they mentioned something interesting when they got into NFL like training camps, that the conditioning that they went through at App actually helped them because you had to get pushed. And of course, with Coach Mike and everything, it actually really made them tough. They worked really, really, really hard. I mean, App State guys have to work really, really hard in conditioning to be tougher than the next guy, because that's one of the competitive advantages that you can kind of make for yourself is you work harder. Have you seen how coming from that background, that culture has helped you transition into this, like, hey, getting really, really serious about the next step and trying to be professional?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, Mike was terrible. And he pushed you to your max. And
he was terrible. Wow.
I mean, he was a great guy.
I know. Terrible in a good way.
Yeah. But just he pushed you in a certain way to where at the end of the day you hated him because he was pushing you so hard, but you knew at the end of the day it was going to benefit you in the long run. And it's just kind of like when you come here, like I said, these coaches are here, but they're not here. They're not going to be down your ear every second of the day yelling at you and blowing a whistle in your ear to do the right thing. So, right. I mean, I think App prepared me because you kind of, when you go through a summer workout and someone skips reps and you're doing punishment for it, but here there is no punishment. You just do what you want to do. So it's prepared me definitely because you kind of, when you go through I had that mindset and App is I never want to get caught skipping reps, and I wanted to never get that name put on me. So I always did what I was supposed to, and it's just something that stuck with me when I've gotten to here to train, just doing what I need to be doing and push myself at my own standard, and then getting the benefits out of it.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're just cheating yourself. I mean,
you
don't do that, whether you're in high school, college, or preparing for the pros.
Absolutely.
Well, Noah mentioned something that stuck with me really all week. Talking about how in 2020, the off season, not having a proper, regimented off season for the team, what they're used to. I mean, you guys are used to this. Like, here's what we do in the spring. Here's what we do in the summer. Here's what we do in the fall. Not having that, and I guess I am going to talk about last year at this point. What's your take on how COVID kind of shook everything up with how you prepared in the off season before fall camp, and then ultimately how you worked out during the season?
Yeah, to be honest, it sucked. You were, especially when we were at home, quarantine, you're dependent on a lot of younger guys that's not seeing the field, that's not probably going to see the field. You're dependent on them to do workouts themselves when you know as a leader they're not doing it. And you can only say so much to a kid to make them do something. It's just if he wants to do it or not. But if you're there at App and you're there during the spring, like you said, and in the summer, you have to show up or you get in trouble. You have to do the reps. You have to do what everyone's asking you to do to be a better team. And it's just the camaraderie that we missed in the locker room. And it's basically just going out there and running our butts off for no reason. Was just that mental toughness that we didn't get to have this year. And then when you come and look as an offense, we didn't do the OTAs where we're throwing routes. We're getting that timing down to a different level than we were just when we first got there. So it's just COVID was definitely tough because it kept us from being in the locker room. And then if you had to be quarantined for 14 days, then that's 14 days of you not being able to do anything. So it was definitely unfortunate. And so this year was definitely crazy.
Yeah, no joke. It was a year. How about that?
Yeah.
So let's, I know that Caden Smith made a nice little video package interview with you talking about your story and it was really good. I watched it. I'm sure Charles did too. But this is the question we like talking about on here. So, if people that have seen that and are listening to this, they'll probably get some overlap here. But I really am interested in hearing guys that come play for App State, especially the guys that have an historical legacy like you have, Zach. How does a kid from – oh, man, I already forgot. Is it Trustman, Alabama? Is that –
Trustville. Trust Vegas is what we call it down there.
Trust Vegas. I'm thinking of – I used to know a girl from Coleman, Alabama. I'm getting my –
okay. That's like an hour away.
North or south? That's directly above Birmingham, isn't it?
No, it's an hour south.
Oh, it is? See, for so long ago. No. So how does it happen? How do you get to App State?
Yeah, so I had a kind of an interesting recruiting process. So my junior year is when I kind of started picking up a lot of world throughout the college football, and it went to a lot of camps and whatnot. And that's what I did about every weekend was go to football camps and try to just get my name to as many players and coaches as I could. And then so I kind of started picking up heavy in the recruiting process, and I picked up about every Sun Belt and Conference USA offer. And then going into senior year, we were playing a tough schedule, and we were having a really good year. Was excited for it. And then we were playing the Hoover Buccaneers probably about week 6 and broke my leg. So at that point, everything to that date had been stripped of me. Every offer was gone. You kind of at that point you kind of hit a low life, and you're kind of like, oh crap. Like I was kind of like at that point I was kind of planning on, if I don't have football, what am I going to do? Because I knew that I wasn't going to pay for school. So at that point I didn't know what I was going to do. So, Jacksonville State is a small school in Alabama in the OVC, and they had offered me again. And so I committed there because at that point I didn't have anything else but them. So I committed there and was going to go there. But there was always something in my mind telling me that this wasn't the place for me. It just didn't feel like home. And I kind of wanted to be more away from home to where I could just meet new people and whatnot. And so –
like Brad Apsher, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then probably about 2 weeks before signing day, App State quarterback Zeb Nolan was committed to App State, and he left and went to Iowa State. And so when that happened, Coach Ponce came down and took a home visit with me in Alabama. And then I came up the next week and took an official visit at App and loved it and fell in love and committed.
Man, what a roller coaster. You have all these offers. Break your leg. So even App dropped your offer, or did they not offer you yet at that point?
Yes, they had offered me, and they were like probably my third offer in the recruiting process. But I always remember them because being Michigan, but I didn't really know a lot about them just because I'm not from around here. So I was like, at that point, I was kind of wanting to go to Troy because I knew Troy was a really good football team in the Sun Belt, and it was kind of closer to home. And then Arkansas State, I was heavy on Arkansas State. And then so at that point, and then App called, and when they told me they were offering me again, I was like, so then I started doing my research, started looking up at App, and I started looking at the position, like Taylor, what he was doing, the numbers that he was putting up, and the wins that App was having. I was like, I'm definitely taking an official visit here, and I did, and fell in love and loved it and committed.
Wow. Hey, go ahead, Charles.
Coming out of high school, we hadn't really had the opportunity to. I mean, we talked to Taylor, but I just want a different perspective here. How much does winning matter as much as like playing time, and like what your potential like lineage would be as far as like, hey, I might start when I'm a sophomore or junior or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it plays in it. I think it plays into what kind of a person you are. I knew when I got to App that I wasn't going to be the star of the show, and I knew I was going to have to earn that. And when I came in here, that was something that I was willing to partake in. I was willing to do my time as redshirt, as second string, to eventually maybe earn my position as a starter. And so that was just something that I was willing to do and willing to go through. But if you're one of those guys that's want to come in as a freshman and blow up in a program, then App is probably not the place for you, because not a lot of freshmen play at App, because I mean, our sophomores and juniors are elite players. So it was definitely something that I was ready for, and I knew coming in here that I wasn't going to beat out Taylor. I mean, when I got here, that wasn't even in my mind. My mind was just basically enjoying college and just enjoying the college atmosphere around Boone, because I knew that everyone loved football at App, and I was just ready to experience that football atmosphere.
It was Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Charles.
So when the shoe's on the other foot, and you got recruits coming up the mountain, and you're doing like hosting and all that, you go through all that process with them and tell them like, look, you're not going to be the A1A when you show up.
I mean, I think that's just. I mean, you don't tell them that to their face, but I think they already know that, because, I mean, when you come in here and you're trying to replace someone that's been a starter for 2 years and you're a freshman, it's probably not going to happen unless you're a Trevor Lawrence and you come in here and then you light up the world. But it's something that you probably don't tell them, but I think App does it really well, coaching-wise, as in not telling the recruits, like, listen, you're going to come in here and start as a freshman. I feel like our coaches do a really well job of not promising anything to these younger kids to get their hopes up, because when they come in here and they have their hopes up, it's just going to be ripped out of them. So I think App does a really well job of just telling them that you're going to have to earn a spot here. And some people come in as freshmen and eventually work their way into playing a little bit, but I think App does it really well coaching-wise, telling them, like, listen, you're going to have to come in here, earn your spot. You're not guaranteed anything.
You probably had more fun as a student in 2016 and 17.
Oh.
Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the best time of my life.
Because you're like, I'm not going to play.
I didn't have a worry in the world. I didn't have to learn the offense. I didn't have to go. I just had to show up and be at the facility when I needed to be.
See, I love this because I think I don't know. I mean, for me, Armani Edwards comes in as a true freshman, and he just plays so well. He plays all 4 years. I mean, obviously he didn't start all of his freshman year, most of his freshman year. And so I think a lot of App fans, maybe I fall into this a little bit, but it's like, oh, well, freshmen can do it. He did it, but it's so hard, especially when you have these upperclassmen. Yeah. And so, like this poor DC Tapscott's going to come in here, and people are like, well, maybe he can do it. He's this 18-year-old, boy coming in here. And I mean, sure.
That's like if you find a gym, like, as in, like, I'm just referring to Trevor Lawrence, but if you find a gym like that and that can come in as a freshman and learn that playbook and that can adjust to the speed of timing and whatnot, then they're going to be a heck of a player. Because I remember when I first got here, I mean, for me to try to learn and play and go out there and execute it in 7-on-7 was like mind-boggling. Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It's hard. Football's hard.
Yeah.
What was that?
Because then you look at it.
My bad, Zach, but like, I'm sure you had that moment in your first 7-on-7 and you're like, this is difficult. But where was that moment where you said, I've really got to get better and I've really got to study or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was at my freshman year, redshirted. I mean, like, I didn't travel, I didn't do nothing, so I was basically just a body there taking up time. So I really didn't partake in anything my freshman year. I kind of went to practice and tried my best, but it wasn't good because when you line up there and you look across and then you see like John Law, Eric Boggs, Keenan Gilchrist, and all those people, you're like, yeah, I have no chance right now. So I just waited my turn. And then sophomore year, I eventually started doing better. That's when I really got serious about football and I dove more into the playbook and learned more about it. Spent more time with Taylor just to learn more about protections and what routes these guys have, why do they have these routes and whatnot. And then when I got to second string, that's when I kind of more focusing on football. I was like, okay, now I have a shot at this. I'm second string. Like I'm eventually can be a starter. I just got to narrow my focus in, and that's when the fun of college eventually kind of stopped. Is when I really wanted to focus on football.
It's always a sad time when the fun of college stops.
and the hard part, focus on football.
Yeah. Hey, tell me, do you remember the moment where Taylor Lamb learned your name? It's a joke.
I don't remember. No, see, they had nicknames, so they called me Penny. It's a long story. I mean, I can share it now because I'm not.
Don't share it. I know the story. I know the story because somebody shared your contact info with me, and it said Penny on it. And I said, "What is this? What is Penny?" We'll save that. We'll save that for
a different time. So he really, I don't know, really figured out my name. But they called me Penny until about my whole freshman year. I was known as Penny.
I was joking. I thought it was a thing, but really, I guess it did take time for Taylor to learn your name.
I mean, at that point, like Coach Sat was even calling me Penny. Like Mike was calling me Penny. Like everyone was calling me Penny. It was just like a known thing that around the locker room, like we're calling this kid Penny.
That's hilarious. When did that stop?
After JP Caruso left.
Really? Why? I mean,
yeah, he was a culprit of that one. He made everyone call me Penny. Yeah.
Who had a better arm, you or him?
I mean, I'm gonna say myself, but
I don't know. I'm asking you. I mean, he was always known as the guy that just could throw it through a wall, but then you came in and had that reputation that you could throw the ball a mile too. So you're saying in a throwing competition, you're dusting JP Caruso, the Bachelorette.
Yeah, absolutely, the Bachelorette.
Well, didn't he make it on that show? But then it got canceled.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really sure what he's doing. I think
it was wasn't it the Bachelorette? He got on there.
Yeah, he did. Now he's just living life in Delray. Working out every day is what I see on Snapchat.
Does he work? Does he work? He's on a boat, like jet skiing and whatever all the time.
He's on a boat probably every day.
Yeah, not you. You're shoveling snow and he's on a boat. That's funny. Hey, did Charlotte offer you UNC Charlotte? Did they give you a scholarship or offer a scholarship?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. So they just knew that they didn't have a chance, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's a little jab at UNC Charlotte. It's a little jab. What's your so you're a guy from Alabama. You don't know before this. You probably didn't even know there was a school called UNC Charlotte. But now, what's your opinion of UNC Charlotte?
I've known that we're undefeated against them, so that's really all I know about them.
Really?
I mean, they're good people. I've actually formed a relationship with a couple of their players that came out this year in the draft. And then I had one of my D linemen in high school played at Austin P. And then when their coach went to Charlotte, he actually went with their coach to Charlotte, and he's a great guy. So, I mean, I got respect for them. I was just joking about my little slam to them, but I mean, I think they're a good team and whatnot.
Well, I was hoping for a little more trash talk. I think it's more fans. I think the fans like jabbing between each other with.
Well, I think it's more if you're from North Carolina, like
he's from Alabama.
Yeah, like it's battlegrounds for y'all to like brag like, oh, Boone's better than Charlotte. Like y'all suck, but
yeah, I mean, it's just for us, it's always better. I think with and I wish we played them every year. I think that'd be fun. But people that graduated from UNC Charlotte in your life. You know this. You know
exactly.
And for them to say like, have delusions of like, oh, we're on the short list for being a P5 school. It's like, okay, junior, sure you are. Sure, yeah, It's the IKEA exit. It's not the UNC Charlotte exit. It's the IKEA exit. But anyway, I'm getting on a tangent about friggin' UNC Charlotte. So I'm sorry, I'm banging the table there. What would you say, looking at your 3 years as a starter, were some highlights that maybe even aren't necessarily just entire games, but moments that you wish you could just relive again, just high points of you being the starter of the football team?
Yeah, I mean, like I hit on first, Penn State, obviously, I would love to relive that game. And then, each conference championship that we played at home, that was just an experience as a football player. That's something that you always live for. You always live on standing on the stage, confetti flying over you, smoking a cigar in the locker room with your boys, just having that bond, basically. And that was, I mean, in my 3 years starting, I think those 2 games against Lafayette, the championship game, was probably one of my favorite moments, just enjoying that time, winning the championship, and knowing that basically all of our hard work that whole offseason had paid off and we got the end goal. So those were definitely my favorite moments. And then beating Georgia Southern this year.
Yeah. And where does that rank? Is that number 3?
That's probably number 1, honestly. There was a lot of that had a lot of revenge to it. So that one
really
felt good getting that one.
Well, because you were so unfairly judged in 2018. You got knocked out of the 3rd play of the game. So no one knows. No one knows what'll happen in that game if Zac Thomas plays, full game. All right. And then 2019, Love Week, we had got an education on that. So you probably were banking on, like, this is kind of like, this is it. I have to beat them now, or I'll be the quarterback that never beat them.
Oh, that was definitely on mine. I'd probably go down as like the worst App State quarterback of ever if I didn't beat Georgia Southern.
It was. I thought we were going to win. I mean, I thought we were going to win. I don't know. I thought we were going to win. But what about you guys? Was there any like, hey, we can't let this one slip up. It can't be 3 in a row. Or were you personally confident in that going into that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a locker room we were confident. We knew those past 2 years were rough, and they were rough to go through, and they were basically daggers to our season. Obviously, last year the season ended up really well, but then this year we knew that once we got a shot with them, that we needed to go out on a high note, because at the point that was our last game of the season before the bowl game. And so we just knew that we had to win that game and not to go down as a terrible App State team to lose them to 3 times in a row. So there's a lot riding on that game. And then I mean, with the coaches that we had on that staff, with Coach Clark and Coach Carwell, that there was no way that you couldn't get hyped for that game. That they poured a lot of energy into that game.
Well, how much different was it then from any other game from those guys who had played in that rivalry?
No, I'm telling you, that week leading up, I mean, it was straight hate week. I don't think I remember Sunday, Coach Clark came in and he usually kind of just gives a rundown of how the game went the week past before that, and he didn't care about who we played last week. It was straight Georgia Southern, and he didn't care what he said. A lot of stuff was said in there, and it was just awesome. And then we had a great week of practice, and then going down there. And then basically just getting that win with that Coach Clark, his first win as a head coach with Georgia Southern was just an awesome experience. It was great.
What was your take on the plunger? Were you aware that a plunger was even a thing? Did you even know that Jordan Earl was, because he's a defense guy or whatever. Did you know that was in the works at all?
I did not know that was in the works.
See, I love that. And you found out on Twitter. You just found out on Twitter. Everybody goes crazy about Twitter.
Well, I found out sitting on my couch in my house. I was like, "What is this that we're like? What? Why are we known by this right now?" And so they told me, and I was like, "Good Lord."
What was your reaction to that? I'm curious.
I didn't really have a reaction. Kind of just shook my head and put my head back down.
You don't think it's kind of cool though to like associate Georgia Southern with a dirty toilet plunger?
I mean,
you're not into it.
I think there's, what I personally want to do was plant the flag in their field like they did us last year. But that's what I want to do.
It's the stink.
But a plunger, plunger was cool and all, but I think an app flag would have been better.
Okay,
I like it. I like it.
There's some interest. Yeah, okay, I get it. It's just so friggin' funny. These guys go out there and put I don't know. It absolutely cracked me up. So we got some people here in the it's not the chat. What is it? It's we're broadcasting to our 333 Club on Facebook, and got some people asking some questions. I'm going to throw up one here for you to see from James Burchett. 3 most hated rivals. Let's break it down. Zach, please, for us. Top 3.
Well, well, number one is 100% Georgia Southern.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is definitely Lafayette.
Oh, okay.
That was definitely a hated rival between us. We didn't get along very well. And then
wow.
I'm going to say this one, it probably blew a lot of people's minds, but Texas State. I was not a fan of Texas State. They had a lot of dirty players on their team. And so that was always a fun game to play for us because it was a lot of smack talking for us.
I did not know that about Lafayette. I had always heard that they were good, but I didn't know you guys like had a lot of disdain back and forth because that was so one-sided. But you really had a disliking for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
What in the world happened in that game this year with the 18 bad snaps with Lafayette?
Oh, God. I don't know.
Was that the most miserable game to play in? It just I had coronavirus.
It was cold as crap.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I had COVID, and so I'm sitting on my I had tickets to the game. I had to give them away, but I got COVID. And it looked miserable. It felt miserable. It was, and Charles, you stood there too. It was just one of those, just
felt fine. I mean, it was just very wet, but
Zac.
I also didn't play in a football game either.
That's true. This is another good one. I'm gonna, might be obvious, but favorite targets that you threw to. Besides Brad Apsher.
Definitely.
Besides Brad Apsher, let's just. Go ahead.
Brad Apsher was definitely number one. Corey Sutton, Thomas, and Malik was probably my three favorite at my time at App.
I remember. I think it was it summer of 18. I guess Adam went and told us where you and Corey got together and were really working out that summer before fall camp. I think right. Getting ready. You guys were an awesome duo for 2 years.
It was every day.
Yeah.
So y'all make each other better.
Quarterback, what'd you say?
Did you feel like y'all made each other better?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it was many times where, definitely in the Penn State game, there was times where he kind of saw something that I didn't see, and he would kind of just run it, and I just thought, it got to an understanding where that we knew when we got to the sideline, he was going to tell me what he saw, and I was going to tell him what I saw, and we were just going to correct it and make that we needed to do in the game to make it correct. But we spent a lot of time, like you said, in the off season, a lot of time in the film room, a lot of time getting timing down and whatnot, and eventually it started paying off. And he's a great receiver, and I wish him the best because I feel like this year he's definitely gonna have a coming out party, and I wish him best whenever he shoots his shot for the NFL.
Yeah, we can't wait too. That was so obviously a missing piece this year for you, especially not having like the best wide receiver in the conference. Not out there, having the defense have to account for him. That had to have been just a massive deal. Let's get down to like some really hard questions. Okay, rank the best offensive lineman that blocked for you. You're gonna have to put someone on the bottom. Is it Noah? Is he the worst one?
No, he's not the worst one. I'm
just trying to put you in a hard spot.
Yeah, well, at least I'm not in the locker room no more, so they can't really say much.
That's what I'm saying. You had a great opportunity.
I provided a lot for him. So,
oh yeah.
Number one, wow. Number one would probably be Noah. Number two would probably be Bear Hunter. 3 would probably be Cooper, and then I don't know. News was really good too. I'd put News at 2 with Bear, and then Cooper would be 3, and then left tackle Cole Garrison would be last.
You guys had some good lines, and
we had some really good linemen. Absolutely.
Yeah. Noah says that Cooper Hodges. It was really funny. He talked about Cooper Hodges, and he just said, "Oh, he's an all-time app classic." We're like, "Well, what are you talking about?" He's like, "No, he's awesome. He's cool. He's good." And it's like, all right, okay.
He's a mountain man.
He's a mountain man. He looks like a grizzly bear. He's this big old.
He's a country boy, is what he is.
Where's he from?
Well, he's Baker County, Florida. I think is where he's from.
Oh, I didn't know he's from. I know he's from Florida.
Baker. I think he's from Baker. I don't know where he's from. Florida, definitely though, but he's from a small town in Florida.
Yeah, he could probably pick up a pickup truck and rip up an orange tree, whatever they do. Give us some good locker room stories or good locker room moments that you've had at App State.
Wow. I mean, I think one of my just some good times is whenever we'd be in camp when you had Taylor. I think it was his last year's playing, so you had Taylor, you had Fitch, Zeb, Brad, and so we all were in a corner, which we called the QBC. So we're always in the corner, and then every day after practice, we'd come in the locker room, shower and whatnot, and then we'd just lay in the dark, and we'd have pillows and whatnot, and just we'd always have some good talks, talk about basically anything that was going on, and then we'd sit there. We played some games on our phone and whatnot. So I think that was probably some good times. And then obviously, I would actually tell you my favorite of all time was when Taylor Lamb broke the sprinkler against Wake Forest. That was a fun one.
He broke the sprinkler?
Oh, you never heard this story?
No.
Yeah, I think I have heard this, but
maybe
please enlighten it.
I don't think so. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so we had just lost. When did we play Wake Forest? Was that 2016?
17.
Yeah, so it was that year. So we had just lost to Wake Forest, and so we get back in the locker room. It wasn't pleasant, obviously, a lot of people cussing and whatnot. So we get back in the locker room. We sit down in the locker room. Coach Sat's about to call everyone up. And we sit down, and Taylor gets it's called Cytomax, and it's this really hard plastic drink that we used to drink. It's full of salt and whatnot. So he picks it up, throws it. And as he's throwing it, he hits the sprinkler that's on the roof. And as he does, it floods the whole locker room. So then we have to go in the weight room and just sit there. And we have our after game speech in the locker room, in the weight room, because the whole locker room was flooded at that point.
Hey, so Charles, I think that's why they were leaving the locker room when we saw them coming off the elevator. You remember that?
Yeah.
I think that you remember they're always
possible. Yeah.
They're walking off single file. I think that's why they're all filing out.
We didn't know that happened when it happened.
Well, maybe that was after they had it. Because is the locker room on the bottom floor, right?
Yeah, bottom floor.
Okay, so remember it was the second floor. They're coming out of the weight room.
Yeah, probably so.
It was. That's what it was. Thanks, Taylor. Thanks, Taylor, for that.
Whatever. That was a fun one.
Hey, so it's a talking point that we've had. A lot of people have had just about this year, but you've had 3 quarterback coaches, 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years. Just honestly, what was that like? Because we always said that can't be easy, having 3 different people come in. That had to have been a challenge. Not saying that you couldn't overcome it and didn't overcome it, but what was it like going from Ponce to Drink to Tony Peterson, all fine in their own respects, but all different?
Honestly, I think it was probably, at the time it sucked, and I mean, it wasn't fun at all. You have to learn a lot of different things. But looking back at it, I think it's probably the best thing that happened to me, as in I learned a different perspective of football. First off, I learned that football is a business, and they have to do what is right for their family. And second off, you learn different styles from different coaches, and you learn the way they look at stuff, the way they call stuff. And eventually, I want to be a football coach. So I kind of learned from 3 different people, as in why they call stuff, why they do what they do in practice, why they do stuff in games. So you get a different perspective and you get a different look at the game, as into where you're seeing what other people are seeing, and you see what Coach Ponce likes, and then Drink comes in and he throws everything at you, and you're learning everything that he's learning. And he was by far one of the smartest coaches I've ever been around, and you just learn what he sees. You learn what he looks at when he watches film. You learn different things from different coaches. And I think in the long run of things, as in I try to pursue this different career in the NFL, and eventually when I want to start coaching, I think it's just prepared me for the future.
What do you think? What are some lessons you learned from each one uniquely? I guess you could throw Sat into there too, although I know, well, no, just Ponce and Drink and Coach Peterson. What did you take away from each 3 that are kind of unique and from a different perspective?
Yeah, well, from Coach Ponce, I learned that the free safety is key to life. And if you didn't read the free safety, you were going to get ripped, and he was going to throw you out of practice. So he taught me a lot of different things, and I love that man to death. But that's the one that stuck with me throughout all my years of playing football in college. And it still sticks with me today. And if I'm looking at a defense, I'm always looking at the free safety, because he's installed that in my brain. With Drink, the way that he dealt with football and the way that he prepared for football and what he knew about football was unmatched. And just the things that he taught me, as in, if you see something, check it. Why would you want to run something into a defense that you know is going to be covered? Check it, make it right, make the protection right, make the play right. So he just taught me a different perspective of football. And, we kind of had some hot routes here and there that I knew that if a corner was off 5 yards or 10 yards, why not just throw a hitch to where I know it's going to be completed? So Drink was more of a let the quarterback do the right thing if you gain his respect and trust just to do it. And then Peterson was more of a guy that's going to care more about your footwork, that's going to care more about getting the ball out on time and making the right reads. And so, you learn different things from different coaches. And, I think that's why I was blessed throughout my years, because you learn these – because if you stick with one guy, you're not going to learn all these things in one team. So these three people that were big influencers in my life just taught me so much different things about football.
Who's the best play caller of all the three play callers that you've had?
Drinkwitz. That man, I'm telling you, I don't think he even I know he has 4 daughters, but I don't even think he went home to his daughters. That man loved football so much, and he it was crazy. We do these things on when we'd be traveling to games, or we'd have home games, we'd do these things called magic. It's like a magic sheet, and he'd just go over the top 10 opener plays that we'd have this week. And he wouldn't even have to look at the sheet to memorize every play that he was going to call in the first 10 plays. The man just loved football and just took it to a different level. And just the way that he called a game and the way that he put players where they needed to be in the right situation was just a blessing.
Do you think it's fair? Because you're obviously very close to him. He was your position coach. He's your head coach. He's your play caller. So you have a really unique perspective with him. Do you think it's fair, or he's received fair criticism for? And I know you've heard the analogy. Well, he just took Sat's team and he picked up the Ferrari and he just drove in a straight line. Do you think that's fair, or do you think that's a little overblown? Because it seems like you have a lot of admiration for his football mind.
Yeah, I have different outlooks on it. I'm going to shoot it straight. Obviously, he took over a very well team. He came into a great situation, and he knew that coming in here he says it's not going to be a stepping stone, but at the end of the day, he knew what he was taking into. And he knew that if he just got the team ready to play, that he was going to eventually end up where he wanted it to be. But to the way the guy loved football and the way he loved the locker room and the way he loved the players, I probably have a different perspective because I was the quarterback. Obviously, I'm around him a lot more than anybody else. But just the way that he loved the team, and, he'd do anything for us. And I still talk to him to this day. And I think we just have built a relationship with him that will last a long time. And, he did a lot for us. Obviously, he benefited a lot. But at the end of the day, you look at it as in okay, well, if anyone would have came into this scenario, they take the job, they get 13 wins, and anyone offers them $28 million, they're going to take it hands down.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So it's just, I think you can have mixed feelings about it. Just being a player and being around him every day, I probably have a different viewpoint than anyone else, but it's basically just how you perceive it.
So, when he said that, the stepping stone comment, I even think, Charles, I don't know if you remember me saying this, I think I said it, I think that was a dumb thing to say because, so every job, well, there are a handful of jobs that aren't a stepping stone job. Alabama is not a stepping stone job. It's kind of it's a peak job or whatever the case is. So when he said that, I thought he kind of did himself a disservice because,
it wasn't wrong.
Yeah, but when you hear that, did you think, not maybe that phrase, but at that point, had you learned that football's a business, and if somebody throws $20 million at him, he's not going to stick around? Or at that point, had you not learned that yet?
I think I learned that lesson when we were dealing with Sat, when he got that job offer and kind of left before the bowl game. You kind of saw that side of football as a business because, when he left before the bowl game, he took – you take Sat. I didn't even have a position coach. Pete Thomas was my position coach during the bowl game. So that's when you kind of really saw that football is a business. And at the end of the day, you don't blame them. They did what's best for them and what's best for their family, and you're happy for them. But at the same time, it sucks. And then Drink comes in here, and like you said, I don't think it was the right word choice, but he said it, and he benefited from it. And at the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, he just did what's best for him and his family. And I mean, the guy, I mean, I'd do anything for him and he'd do anything for me. So at the end of the day, I just got a lot of respect for him. But it's just, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you learn that football is a business. And at the end of the day, the coach or whoever is around you at that point is just going to do what's better for them no matter what the scenario is.
So what about Sean Clark as a head coach? How's that experience been?
I think it's a great hire. I think when you look back at, I mean, the guy played at App. He's got a lot of found respect for App, and I don't think he's I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to, if he gets a job offer somewhere, is just going to pick it up and take it. I think really that he's going to stay at App for a long, long time, and I mean, he might go down as one of the best coaches to ever come through here. I think he's going to be here for a long time, and he loves the town of Boone, and the man is like, he bleeds black and gold, and that's all he's loved throughout his college experience. And so I think he's going to be here for a long time.
What do you think the legacy of the 2020 season will be for App State? That's a hard question. I know. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think you look at it. Obviously, when you're going to look back at it, you're going to remember the kind of year 2020 was. You're going to remember the downs that we had in the year. But at the same time, I think you're going to look back at it and you're going to say, like, these kids played football during a pandemic and played 9 games, won a bowl game, and continued their streak at winning bowl games. Obviously, we didn't win a conference championship, and that sucks because that's the expectations that we've set around App State. But at the end of the day, I think you're just going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, like, these kids are dedicated to the game of football. They love football. They basically canceled everything out that was in their life besides football, and they pushed everything to the side, and they just wanted to compete with their brothers and go out there and eventually win a championship, which was a bowl game. But I mean, I think you look back and you'd be happy for it.
Yeah, I think Coach Cardwell has told me this a couple times, which is you got all the negative feedback, but very little of the positive in terms of like the crowd, right? So the whole being able to have the positive, the cheers and the energy and and I know it's completely different for you who works really, really hard at playing the game well versus us who we work really, really hard at having fun in the parking lot, before we come into the game. So it's totally different. But you do feel that extra added energy, kind of that positive feedback loop of they cheer when something good happens. We're getting a positive feedback loop. And I think this year, with even the way we lost, we lost 3 really close games that we were in and could have won. Arguably should have won. But you didn't have but you felt all the negativity. So that to me had to have been a challenge for the whole team. I know I said this with Noah, but I think that we were kind of robbed, or you guys, players, were kind of robbed of having the opportunity to have the positive feedback loop of that's one of the perks that you get when you're an App State player is the crowd and the energy.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this year, as a man, I think this year has taught us a lot, especially the year that we had. Like you hit on it, we were in every game, should have won every game, but we lost. And I think each game you can look back, and as a person that's not on the football field, you can kind of look back and you can say, well, these are life lessons that I need to carry on for the rest of my life. And I think, it's going to be a blessing eventually down the road, but, it's a sore subject now because it sucks and it shouldn't have ended like that. And you didn't want your career to end like that. But at the same time, I feel like it's a way for you to grow as a person and to better yourself down the road.
Yeah. I think it's a wide. Yeah, I'm sorry, Charles, did you say something?
I said, well said.
Oh, I thought I cut you off. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that's well said. I think it's well stated. We had kind of on a lighter subject here. We're going in and out. We're throwing some change ups here. Susie Kanabi wants to know what your favorite place to eat in Boone is.
Wow. I think right now it's Kobo. I actually tried it like 2 weeks before I left Boone. I had never went. I'd always heard good things about it, but I was always scared to go. But I actually tried it.
Why are you scared to go? What's scary about Kobo?
It's just like Japanese is always kind of – I don't know if you consider it Japanese, but I always thought it was – I mean, it is sushi, so it is kind of Japanese. But Japanese is always kind of set wrong with me. I never really liked Japanese, but And so I tried it about 2 weeks before I left, and now I can't wait to go back to eat Kobo because like my mouth waters when I think about it. It is so good.
Wow, Kobo.
What's your favorite roll there?
I don't even know. They gave me some. I mean, I told them that it was my first time there, and they recognized me, and they gave me some secret menu, and I ordered something with like tuna, salmon, filet, and stuff like that, and it was to die for. I don't even know what it was called, but it was great.
It's good to have the secret menu. They're like, hey, sir, you got to wait 20 more minutes for your table.
The secret menu.
Well, gets a secret menu. Yeah. I love it.
I think they broke it. I think they broke a NCAA violation by giving him the secret menu. I think that's a special. So let's see here. Yeah, there's another question here. Oh, I wanted to ask you about this too. I'm glad Bryant brought this up. Your experience at the Peyton Manning, is it the Peyton Manning Passing Academy? I thought it was just the Manning Passing Academy. Is that?
It's just the Manning Passing Academy.
Okay. Is it? Oh, I thought Archie did it, or is it Peyton? Do you have any idea?
No, it's every one of them. You got Archie, Peyton, Eli, and then
Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper.
So what was that like?
So I went my 9th grade year. Actually, a funny story. I went my 9th grade year, and Johnny Manziel was actually my camp counselor, and that's when he got kicked out of the camp because he didn't show up the next morning. But yeah, that was a funny story. And then I got Marcus Mariota, which was, I mean, that's awesome too. But I went in 9th grade.
What a 180! You got Johnny Football, who's probably strung out or whatever. And then you got squeaky clean Marcus Mariota. Wow. That's incredible.
So I went in my 9th grade. It's a great experience. I mean, it's tough. It's not really your normal camp. You're going there to compete, and you're training every day basically to better your craft. And it was awesome. So that when I left there, I told my mom because I had to go to a baseball tournament after that. And so we were driving to the baseball tournament, and I told my mom my goal was to make it there as a camp counselor. So I fulfilled that. When I went, I mean, there was great guys there. I mean, you had Trevor, you had Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts was there, Sam Ellinger. I mean, all kind of people. When you kind of look around the room, you're like, I mean, Joe Burrow was there. You look around the room, you're like, holy cow, like these people are like, I'm sitting next to like Trevor Lawrence. I'm like, this guy's the face of football. But it was a great experience. It was a time, you get some kids and you kind of teach them about fundamentals of football, and they play some fun games and whatnot. And then for about 3 hours each day, you get a chance to train with Peyton and Eli, and they kind of go through their training circuit of what they did when they grew up in the NFL. And so they kind of put you through those drills. They push you basically to the limits. You break a point. I mean, they're doing some crazy stuff here and there to do it. And then at the end, which is the accuracy competition, which is where the golf carts drive by with little dummies on them. It's just a little competition for fun. But it was a great experience, and you meet a lot of great people. And then you kind of realize that, these people are the face of football, but at the same time, they're just like me or anybody else. I mean, it was just a great experience, and it was an awesome time to be around those people.
I do have to correct you for just a second. You didn't get to sit next to Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence got to sit next to Zac Thomas.
I gotta say that. No, I get it.
What was it like? Was he a nice guy?
Yeah, definitely a nice guy. Down to earth, humbled. He was a good guy to talk to. And then, I mean, you had Joe Burrow there, and then he went on to do what he did in college football that year. So, I mean, it was just you were around some people that, I mean, Justin Herbert. I saw Justin Herbert throw there, and I was like this kid, like his arm level is next to it's probably one of the strongest arms I've ever seen. And you're kind of just sitting there, you're like, holy cow, like I don't know how he does it. And so I mean, it's a good experience to see that.
For sure. So listen, we're at an hour now. This has been great. I've learned a lot. I'm really excited that you seemed enthusiastic about coming on here. We loved being able to talk to you back in 2018 when we didn't know what in the world was going to happen. We were just excited, this new era. And we're very proud. We're very proud of the career you've had. You've endured a lot of BS, unfair criticism, and you've had to put up with a lot this year, which is ridiculous and uncalled for in a lot of ways, and in some extremes, not in every way. So we're happy that you spent time with us. We hope that we can have you back again. But if you could, I don't know, if you've anything you want to say, anything you want to talk about before we get off here, because I mean, it is, I wasn't even joking when I said that. You're one of the best quarterbacks ever played at App State, a really successful football program. So anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say, anything before we hop off and wrap up the first episode with Zac Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I mean, in 2018, like when we did that interview, who would have thought? It's just a blessing. I mean, I got an opportunity and I took full advantage of it. And I'm just grateful for the things that happened to me in my life. And it's eventually has set me up for success. So, I mean, I appreciate y'all and I appreciate the fans of App State. And, I mean, it's been a great experience. And I hope that, we just passed the baton down and the legacy is going to continue here at App. So I just appreciate y'all for what y'all do. And then just to the fans, appreciate everything y'all do for us.
Charles, I don't want to get off here without giving you an opportunity to say something or whatever.
I mean, I'm good. I'm just going to kind of echo kind of the same compliment right back to you, Zac. I mean, what you had to deal with this year on and off the field. I mean, it's just got a lot to deal with. We're just happy that y'all, as a team, y'all stuck it out because you're doing it for yourselves, but you're doing it for us too, even though we couldn't be there most times. So we just appreciate y'all's hard work, and we wish you the best, obviously, in the future, because it ain't easy get out in the real world, and you're stepping into a different real world, I'm afraid, than most of us.
Awesome. So let's wrap it up right here. Zac, thanks for joining us. Thanks to everybody for listening to the Black and Gold podcast, and go to zboxmattress.com, use promo code Black and Gold to get 10% off your order. And we're going to wrap it here. Until next week, go Apps.